Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Mathis with the Mathis Group. We are a premier ATP with the Project Management Institute. Welcome to the video today on 7 minutes to PMP mastery. Today, we're going to be talking about aligning projects, programs, and operations. Let's give you a little overview of aligning project programs and operations. This might be a new concept to you today because of the new changes to the 2026 PMP exam. And so PMI is going more to a value idea. And so this means there has to be more alignment with the project programs and portfolio along with the strategic plan. So managing projects in a coordinated way means ensuring that individual projects do not operate as isolated efforts. Instead, each project should be connected to broader organizational goals, related programs, portfolio priorities, and ongoing operations. And so that alignment is what we're talking about today in this video. So there's a relationship between the project, programs, and operations. So projects we know are temporary efforts that create a unique product, service, or result or capability. Programs are a group of related projects and sometimes related operational work that are managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits not available for managing them separately. And operations is ongoing repetitive work that sustains the organization, such as customer service, manufacturing, IT support, finance processing, or service delivery. And so as you look at these three projects, we're used to doing and finishing the scope, completing the deliverables, and then handing it off. On internal projects, you typically have handed it off to your operational people, the people who do the job day to day. They begin using the new tool or the new features or functionality that you've developed for them, and they begin using it from that day forward. And so we've always handed off to operations. Now, there's a mindset for the PMP questions. Remember, you're trying to pick the best answer, not just a right answer. So many times on the test, you'll have more than one right answer. So the project manager's responsibility is not merely to complete the scope on time and within budget. That's a very narrow focus. PMI expects the project manager to understand how the project contributes to business value, how it affects other projects or programs, and how the final deliverable will transition into operations. A PMP candidate should think of this topic as a value alignment type of topic. The question is not only is the project being delivered, the better PMI question at this point on the PMP test is the project being delivered in a way that supports the organization's intended outcomes and even value? On this graphic, we have lined all three of these up. So project creates change. It is temporary and unique. And the one big shift that you're going to start feeling the flavor of is that projects are now being used to create organizational change, not just change from the project. In the past, we've had changes from the project where it changed a process or it changed the way we did business, but it typically was not something we talked about for massive organizational change. Massive organizational change is using project management to make that sweeping change all the way across. We also have programs. Programs would be coordinates related projects to achieve broader benefits. And then operations is who we typically hand it off to, and they sustain the business after the project output is delivered. So let's talk about a PMP exam style question. If you've watched other videos, you know we have a question on every video so that you have an opportunity to see what we're talking about. So let's set you up and get you ready for one of these. So a project manager is leading a predictive project to replace an organization's legacy inventory management system. The project is one of several related projects within a program designed to improve supply chain efficiency and reduce warehouse operating costs. The project is nearing the end of execution. The new system has passed several technical tests and meets the approved scope requirements. The sponsor wants the project manager to close the project immediately so the organization can report the project as completed this quarter. However, the operations manager informs the project manager that warehouse supervisors have not completed training, updated work procedures, and have not been approved, and the support team is not prepared to handle system issues after launch. The program manager is concerned that closing the project too soon may prevent the program from achieving its expected operational benefits. And so here's your question. What should the project manager do next? They have a tendency to ask the same type of question. It's a scenario. What would you do next? What would the project manager do next? They're not asking you what you would do if it ever says that. They're asking you what should PMI's project manager do next. So here are your 4 answers. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about those that are wrong. So A, proceed with the project closure because the system meets the approved scope requirement and has passed technical testing. B, review the transition readiness criteria, assess the impact on program benefits, and work with the sponsor, program manager, and operations manager to resolve the readiness gaps before closure. C, ask the operations manager to accept ownership of the system now and manage any remaining training and support issues as operational work. And then D, escalate the issue to senior management and request that they decide whether the sponsor or operational manager has final authority. So pick your answer right now, and let's talk about what is the right answer. So if you picked B, you are correct. It's the correct answer because the project output may be technically complete, but the organization is not operationally ready to use or sustain it. In PMP exam logic, a successful project is not only about completing scope, the project must also support business value, program benefits, operational transition. The project manager should review the transition or acceptance criteria, assess the impact on expected benefits, and coordinate this with sponsor, program manager, operations manager. This supports the broader program objective of improving supply chain efficiency and reducing warehouse operating costs. The key PMP principle is this: do not close a project just because the deliverable is built. Confirm that the deliverable can be accepted, transitioned, supported, and used to create the intended value. So if you got this as a right answer, you're spot on with that type of thinking. Now let's look at those that maybe you answered and that were wrong. So the first one is A, proceed with project closure because the system meets the approved scope requirements and has passed technical testing. Many people do choose this because the scope is finished. However, this is a trap on the test. Technical completion is not the same as business readiness. The system may meet scope, but if warehouse staff cannot use it and support teams cannot sustain it, the project may fail to deliver value. So PMI expects the project manager to consider operational transition and program benefits, not just scope completion. The second one sometimes people will choose is C, ask the operations manager to accept ownership of the system now and manage any remaining training and support issues as operational work. This is also a trap. Operations will eventually own the system, that's for sure, but forcing a premature handoff ignores transition readiness. The project manager should not dump unresolved readiness gaps onto operations. And then D is all about escalation. Escalate the issue to senior management, request that they decide whether the sponsor or the operations manager has final authority. This escalates too quickly. It frames the issue incorrectly. The issue here is not about authority, it's about readiness, benefits realization, and operational sustainability. On the PMP exam, escalation is usually not the best first response unless the project manager has already analyzed the issue, attempted collaboration, or reached the limit of their authority. But you will see these escalation questions or escalation responses all through your test. So make sure that the project manager has exhausted all possible other areas before you escalate, not as a first response. Now, as you watch this video, if this video has brought some value to you about the new PMP exam test from 2026, pass this video around to some of your friends. We have several videos on our YouTube channel, and so we'd love to have people watching them to be able to benefit them to take this test. We also, if this is our contact information, so if I can help you in any way, there's my 800 number, my email address, my website. I'd love to be able to work with you and help you. Now, I do virtual PMP boot camps every other month. And so I teach it myself. And so people sign in from all over the world. I'd love to have you in one of my classes. And if I can help you in doing any other type of project management training, contact me and let's see what we can work out. Listen, I hope this video has been a blessing to you and it helps you be able to pass the test. And so if I can help you in any other way, please contact me, okay? God bless you. I'll see you on another video. Have a great day. Bye now.